Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in a nation getting ready for both the NHL Hockey Playoff Championship and the NBA Basketball Championship. National Basketball Association. Basketball. That's like saying ATM machine, automatic teller machine. Okay, I do understand that. But this is a current events and political show. So maybe some of you are not hip to what the NHL even is. What the NHL? What I was saying was, broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere ready to celebrate and battle out 2 best-of-7 series for the basketball and hockey champions of the universe. My name's Brian Engelman. Today is June 3rd, 2025, and this is the TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media. It's a subdivision of the Agree to Disagree show, and that's what you can find where you can find the podcast. Let me put down at the bottom of the screen here. The New American Media exists on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. Search the New American Media, hit subscribe. Hit the likes, hit the thumbs up, engage with us. Type some comments, leave some questions, tell some jokes, add your thoughts. This is an interactive show. We'll put the chats up here once the room populates in just a moment or two. And we encourage your active participation into this program. Tell us about stories that you want to hear our take on. Ask me questions. I will go on a detour, sometimes a brief detour, sometimes a long detour. Regardless, I'm here to break down what's happening in our world as we try to figure it out together. That's why you join us on the TNAM Daily Show. The podcast, like I said, it's called the Agree to Disagree Show. That's the umbrella title for the Agree to Disagree Show. It covers all of our current events programming. Please subscribe. Please watch us over there. We're trying to grow on that platform. We're on X at American_media_ as well. Scrolling at the bottom of the screen now, donation links. If anybody wants to toss a tip into our tip jar, we're on Patreon at the New American Media. Thank you to our new subscribers. Your monthly contributions are very important. Very appreciated and very steady and stable, knowable. It's a benchmark. The more subscribers we have, the more that we know we're reaching people like you who care about independent thought. I'm not going to just regurgitate what I'm told to say from the talking points on MSNBC or Fox News. I look at the stories independently, quasi-independently, as much as I can be. Nobody's paying me to give you an opinion on anything. But we have a 14-year track record, close to 2,000 videos on our YouTube channel. We love trying to understand the world and asking questions. Can we verify? Can we debunk? So those things are going to be covered on today's show, just breaking down the news stories and providing our reaction to it. On today's program, we're going to discuss the FBI being accused of hiding documents regarding to Russiagate, being accused of hiding all sorts of things from Dan Bongino, from Kash Patel. What is going on with the deep state? So we're going to break all of that stuff down, as well as the president's Palantir problem. How concerned should you be about your civil liberties? Here's a hint. You should always be concerned about your civil liberties. And so we will discuss that and more on today's episode of the TNAM Daily Show. Here we go.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
All right, everyone. Thanks for being here. Hey, how's the weather by you? How are the cicadas near you? I want to get all of your thoughts, all of your comments, all of your questions, put them into chat. Let's jump into the news by sharing our Instagram feed. You're going to want to follow our Instagram feed. You're going to get a quick update. We've had some really nice conversations and comments with people who say, you guys find some of the best stories, way better stuff than the other channels I'm watching. You guys cover stories I've never heard of, really important stories. You mix in humor, you mix in, timely information as we need it. So thank you to the people who have given us so many kind words over the past year. We've received quite a bit of praise, which is appreciated. It's nice to know that people are paying attention and that they appreciate the work that you're doing, because it takes hours to collate this information. Now, yeah, it can be done efficiently, quickly, effectively, but it really comes down to, it could take hours each day to understand what is being talked about in the universe, and then grabbing the important things amongst all of the clutter, all of the verbal clutter. There's more Diddy stuff going on. I don't know. I kind of waiting to see some more facts and information. The trial's continuing. I don't know that giving you a daily update is something I feel like doing on that, but let's talk about the things. Where's the other page? Here's the other page. Let me share this instead. All right. So yes, once again, I just want to update you on what's going on. The NHL playoffs are set to kick off tomorrow. Edmonton Oilers versus the Florida Panthers. That's a rematch of last year's championship to win the NHL Stanley Cup. Who do you got? I'm just going to generically root for Florida because Florida is one of the free states, and Edmonton is up in Canada. I'll do it that way. So go Florida Panthers. That's who I'll pick, and for that reason. Let's go into the NBA playoffs. Look, Indianapolis has never won a championship. The Oklahoma City Thunder have never won a championship. I'll be sort of happy whoever wins this championship. My team was the Cleveland Cavaliers. Pacers beat us. So I guess if the Pacers win, it'll give us a little bit of a reason to go, well, we got beat by the best that year. And it gave our team a chance to recalibrate and figure out how to become more physical. We had winning streaks throughout the season, best record in the East, defensive player of the year. The Cavs were crushing. Couldn't get it done when it counted, though. Regular season's one thing, but playoffs are where legends are made. So back to the drawing board. We'll see. Hearing rumors we might try to trade Darius Garland for Cooper Flagg, the number one pick out of Dallas Mavericks. Who knows? It's silly season. Everybody's gonna try to figure out how to improve their roster and how to get as much back in trades as possible. So I guess I'll be rooting for the Pacers, but I would be okay if Oklahoma City wins. What about you? Do you have any dog in the fight? Do you care who wins between Edmonton Oilers or the Florida Panthers in hockey, or the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Indiana Pacers in the NBA? Curious to get your thoughts. Type it in the comments. All right, let's jump back over here. Going to go through some of the stories that we have in our stack. Good morning, David Bann. David joining us from Canada as well. Not Ottawa. Wait, not Ottawa. What is it? Wait, I just said it. It's the... Hold on. Why? I just said it. Edmonton Oilers. There we go. Edmonton Oilers. All right. CNN dragging on disgraced CNN drags on disgraced ex-FBI director Andrew McCabe to shame the FBI for what? Take a look.
The FBI really can help out a local police department with providing manpower, technology, and resources to do that sort of work. That's what the FBI does. We don't step in and take over and draw conclusions 5 minutes after the attack about what happened. We reach out to the local authorities, we provide people, and we offer assistance in any way that we can. The Bureau is there to help the first responders.
Thank you so much to both of you. One thing we know for sure, certainly thinking about these victims and their families, a truly horrific thing that has happened to them as we await more on their condition.
This is the sort of thing that the FBI really can help out a local police department with, providing manpower, technology, and resources.
Yeah. Trying to shame the FBI for believing an Egyptian national firebombing Jewish people might be an act of terrorism. In what world is firebombing a specific group intentionally not terrorism, CNN? And we said, hey, you know what really helps the FBI out? Removing violent, America-hating, illegal alien invaders. I think it's time to sue the DNC into bankruptcy for their criminality at the border. Do you agree or disagree with that? Yeah, right. CNN always good for a chuckle. Here's Carolyn Levitt saying the quiet part out loud about the attack over the weekend.
There's certainly a concern that the previous administration allowed way too many terrorists and illegal immigrants into the interior of our country. And that's why the Department of Homeland Security is working overtime to arrest, detain, and deport as many illegal criminals and terrorists that we can in the United States of America. And any act of violence will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. There's certainly a concern that the previous administration allowed way too many terrorists and illegal.
And that's a question. Do you agree or disagree with that? I think that it's obvious to me. Previous administration allowed way too many terrorists and illegal immigrants into the interior of our country. Not just a border crisis, a national security crisis. And Biden, Obama, Harris caused it. The DNC caused it. So is it time to sue the DNC into bankruptcy for their border treason? Can we please start the class action cases for the families impacted? You know, this isn't complicated. This isn't controversial. Well, here's something that's controversial. David agrees. David's like, yes. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't play the graphic. I'll try to remember to play the graphic next time. The agree or disagree graphic. All right, shocking, exclusive. Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal's lavish Kyiv hotel bills have been exposed, allegedly. While Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal strut through Kyiv, Ukraine, jaw-dropping State Department records just dropped on USA Spending, revealing their extravagant hotel expenses. On June 1, 2025, two staggering transactions surfaced, one for a mind-blowing $403,000 and another for an eye-popping $411,000. The question on everyone's mind, what justifies this astronomical spending? Why this much? Any idea why it's this much? I don't know. That's poorly written. They're asking if based Mike Lee will condemn this or not, tagging Data Republican, Laura Loomer, etc., etc. Well, look, I do know that when dignitaries travel, they will often have to rent out the entire floor for security reasons, sometimes the entire building, which can be exorbitant. But if you're going on a mission, why are you putting up why are you paying that? Why isn't Ukraine paying that with the money they already stole from us? Yeah, you're stealing money from us. We can support your right to not get bombed by Putin in Russia while also acknowledging you're stealing our money. We have our own homeless people dying on the streets. We have inner cities, whether it's Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, pick your place. Criminality out of control. Illegal alien invaders that need to be deported, a wall that needs to be built, infrastructure that needs to be repaired, a healthcare system that's upside down and allowing private insurance companies to screw over the people that just need service. It's not whether you should be allowed to get a service with insurance. It's rubber stamping. Hey, are you afflicted with XYZ? Good, then go get the test. Oh, well, that's a blood test. That's too expensive. We can't do it. Do it. Lower the price. Oh, well, we can't run that scan. That scan's $10,000. Lower the price. The machine's already sitting there. That's not healthcare. That's crazy. David is up in Canada. And here, I'll put the chat on the screen. Get it going. David's up in Canada, and I read something. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm hearing 1 in 20 Canadian deaths are by the assistance of the Canadian healthcare system now. Could that possibly be true? It's cheaper to off people than to help them. Look, we have our own problems, Ukraine. We got a bunch of problems here in America. It's not cool that we're spending, what are we even at? $1 trillion? $500 billion? How many hundreds of billions of dollars have been money laundered through Burisma, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Victoria Nuland, Barack Hussein Obama, Lindsey Graham. So yeah, I mean, this $800,000, is that accurate, or did someone get their palms greased a little bit? Did Blumenthal and Lindsey get a kickback? Did Zelensky get a kickback? I'm just so sick of this. It's supposed to be holding peace negotiations. Instead, Lindsey Graham goes over there. And then suddenly, they go attack a whole bunch of Russian jets. Whole bunch of fighters. They called it their Pearl Harbor. Well, I don't think that's a way to get to a peace negotiation. I think that's how you continue the conflict. Once again, proving that it doesn't seem like these two parties want to stop the conflict. And at what point is this not our problem? At what point is this something that we have our own problems, all right? But I'm calling on Logan Act consideration here. What is Lindsey Graham doing? I'm hearing reports that President Trump wasn't advised of the assassination attempt on Vladimir Putin until the President Trump wasn't given accurate information about the bombing of the planes. The planes. Who's running the intelligence agencies if the president is not isn't up to date on the latest? Things seem all sorts of backwards right now. So anyway, I don't like Lindsey Graham and Blumenthal going over there. Here, I'm just going to type Logan Act violations or nah. Marjorie Taylor Greene says taxpayers funded trips for members of Congress and senators are called coddles. Most coddles are unnecessary and expensive. She was only on one. It was to our southern border at the height of the migrant invasion under the Biden admin. Cutting back on coddles would be a good Doge cut, especially when taxpayer-funded coddles may lead to furthering foreign wars. Yeah. The same government waste, fraud, and corruption that Doge is exposing. These politicians, both Republican and Democrat, are the problem, not the answer. Yeah, Lindsey Graham is nothing more than a rhino stealing taxpayer funds as he rakes in money and poses as a Republican. So Lindsey Graham not winning, friends. President Trump saying the horrific attack in Boulder won't be tolerated. The guy came in through Biden's ridiculous open border policy that hurt our country so badly. He must go under Trump. He must go out under Trump policy. Acts of terrorism will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This is yet another example of why we must keep our borders secure and deport illegal anti-American radicals from our homeland. Heart goes out to the victims of the terrible tragedy and the great people of Boulder, Colorado.
We captured the moment two men went from migrants
staking out Dallas immigration court hallways, arresting criminal aliens as they leave their hearings. Benny Johnson says, before you ask, yes, this is exactly what I voted for.
To detainees. It happened last week at Dallas Immigration Court when nearly a dozen people showed up to have their asylum cases heard. Their cases were dismissed by the judge, and when they walked out of the courtroom, plainclothes federal agents were waiting to take them into custody. Immigration attorney Belinda Arroyo says targeting migrants at the courthouse used to be a rare event.
What does it do when an ICE agent is in the court and they're not dealing with somebody who's currently in ICE custody?
Well, I think it makes everybody be on edge.
It's not just happening in Dallas. Asylum seekers in San Antonio were seen crying and begging for help as they were led away in handcuffs. Two Department of Homeland Security officials tell CBS News ICE is asking immigration judges across the country to dismiss the court cases of certain migrants so the agency can arrest them once their hearings end and place them in a fast-track deportation process known as expedited removal. Outside a Miami courthouse, this migrant in cuffs says in Spanish, it's a trap. The Department of Homeland Security.
It reminds me of that Simpsons where Homer goes to win a free boat. Oh, my boating arm. Something like he had unpaid parking tickets or something, and it was a trap. People were all sent these letters. Hey, you want a boat? Come pick up your boat. It's a trap.
Security released this statement to CBS News, saying Secretary Noem is reversing Biden's catch and release policy that allowed millions of unvetted illegal.
Anyway, we said this is the way. If someone wants to visit or move to America, you go through the front door. Shame on Biden for putting these people through this mess. Shame on the Democrats. This is all a Democrat-created problem. Don't allow yourself to be wrapped up in, oh, Kristi Noem, the Department of Homeland Security, they're so mean, they're so bad. Oh, Trump, he's so bad at the border. Tom Homan, oh, shame on them. No. Shame on the Democrats for doing this. You thought that this was okay. This was never okay. This was never just some random crisis we had to deal with. This was always your plan to populate sovereign nations, the Obama doctrine, the global Obama doctrine, to flood sovereign nations with non-citizens, get them hooked on whether it's U.S. aid, government-funded, benefits cards and housing and food and healthcare and free. What is the point of this? Now, if there's a point, there aren't enough births happening in this country to replace the population. Okay, well, you need to talk about that. You need to have a nationwide conversation. You don't just start flooding 30 million illegal alien invaders, mostly military-aged men that could be sleeper cells, like you saw in D.C. executing a couple of Jews outside of, an embassy, like you saw in Boulder, Colorado, Molotov cocktails from an Egyptian that overstayed his visa. This is crazy. It's just madness. And it's not the Republicans' fault who have to clean up this mess. It's the Democrats for putting us all through this. Shame on the Democrats for this. Because there are families that are all sorts of messed up right now. You want to come in, come through the front door. You don't sneak in the back door. You don't break in. When you're here, you certainly stay out of trouble and stay off public welfare too. But that hasn't been the plan. Look at all across Europe and see what's happening. They're at a breaking point because that's the plan. So anyway, that's what's happening with ICE. All right, let's take a look in at Democrats. Historically speaking, how are Democrats? They're viewed as, the People's Party for the common worker. Well, not anymore.
Speaking, which is the party of the middle class, has been a huge advantage for Democrats. I have polling from NBC going all the way back since 1989 when Democrats had a 23-point advantage. 2016, a 17-point advantage. 2022, where you saw that Democrats led, but only by 4 points. And now in our latest CNN poll among registered voters, which is the party of the middle class, it is tied. This, I think, speaks to Democratic ills more than anything else. They have traditionally been the party of the middle class. No more. Donald Trump and the Republican Party have taken that mantle away, and now a key advantage for Democrats historically has gone adios amigos. Republicans have completely closed the gap. Historically speaking, which is the party of the middle class has been a...
Yeah, Trump has taken that away because he's actually working to improve the working conditions in this country, getting investment, bringing jobs back, hiring Americans. Common sense, because common sense ain't that common, right? Common sense just ain't that common. So yeah, thanks, CNN. Appreciate your candidness. Candidity? Appreciate your candidity. No diddy. That's crazy how like that
Really
phrase has morphed into no diddy. No diddy. All right. Corey Lewandowski here on the Benny Show. He's dropping a bombshell about terrorism in the Biden administration under the control of Barack Hussein Obama's puppet masters. Take a listen.
Do you think that Mohammed should be facing civil rights charges on a federal level, should face potentially capital punishment on a federal level for this? I mean, we don't have any faith in Colorado working here. Tina Peters, of course, is still in jail in Colorado. Tina Peters will get a more severe sentence than Mohammed.
That's insane.
We assume. But do you think that there's federal charges that can be brought here, Corey?
I think so. And from what I've heard, the Department of Justice is pursuing attempted murder or murder charges in 8 different cases. Now, no one has actually died yet, but is one of the pieces that they are pursuing. Look, you have to make an example of these people. And Benny, listen, I'm a guy, and I know, someone asked me, what's your favorite Bible verse? Mine is an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Listen, whatever this guy did, maybe the only recourse is you do it back to him. This guy literally created a Molotov cocktail and threw it at people to light them on fire, to kill them. It is a brutal, I can only imagine it'd be a brutal way to die, to be burned to death, or to have to live with those burns. If anyone's ever been to Shriners or any of these other places that these people are impacted by fire, it's just a devastating thing to somebody. This guy should be held to the fullest extent of the law. And I'll tell you what, we don't have a CCOT here, a prison like they do in El Salvador, but there's a special place in hell for a person like this.
I mean, there's Guantanamo Bay, and there's plenty of desert areas. There's plenty of Alaskan wilderness. Put them up in Siberia, by Greenland. Put them up there. There's plenty of random deserts you can build. You can build some supermax facilities in the middle of nowhere. People say NIMBY, not in my backyard. Good. Put them in the vast wastelands out in somewhere in the desert between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, off near Zizek's Road. How about it?
Yeah, rightly so.
Or Guantanamo.
What about finally?
This is a terror attack. These were against Americans for political reasons. That's terrorism.
Corey here. What about the people that allowed this? Because Joe Biden and his team rubber stamped his visa, his work permit, after overstaying his visa, after being here criminally. They wanted Mohammed, the terrorist, in the country to commit a flamethrower act of terrorism. What should befall that administration, either morally or legally?
Well, what is the accountability that we have for these people, right? I mean, look, when you go back and look at what Alejandro Mayorkas allowed to have happen, he lied to Congress and said he had no authority to prevent the border from being secured. What we will know, and what your listeners and viewers will see here in just a couple of days, Benny, is the individuals that the Biden administration actually kept off the known suspected terror list, which was amazing, right? They were pressured to keep certain individuals who should have been placed on that list off of the list for political realities. And that is devastating to me. So that's going to come here in the very near future. The fact that political expedience allowed them, for people who should have been placed on the list, to be kept off the list. And clearly a guy like this, who should have been on the list, who never should have been let into the country, they just turned their cheek. They turned a blind eye to him. They let these criminals pour into our country to continue to perpetrate crimes against Americans with zero legal resource. Listen, I was part of that team, the fake Russian narrative that had to testify 7 times in front of Congress, that was held accountable, that I never did anything wrong. When do these people be held accountable? When are they dragged before Congress to say, you are now personally liable for the things that you did while you were in government service, because you allowed these crimes to, if not actually happen, you allowed the people to come into this country because you didn't follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
That's some bombshell stuff, Corey. I have to ask a follow-up. So you're saying that Alejandro Mayorkas hid the identities of terrorists that were entering the country? This seems like a massive crime.
Benny, I will tell you.
Mayorkas is the most, I mean, he's in the top 10. Fauci, Mayorkas, Obama, Biden, Harris for not doing the 25th, Harris for being border czar under this invasion, Fauci for crimes against humanity, Mayorkas for pure treason. I mean, you couldn't do a job any more oppositely. Is that a word? Then we saw Mayorkas doing it. Oh, yeah.
Tell you this, that in the next 48 hours, you will see a story, hopefully, that is going to come out. That's going to show that there were people who should have been placed on the known suspected terror list that were not placed on that list because of political pressure directly to the department that was signed off by the highest levels of government. It's stunning information to me that is just coming to us that goes to show you how broken the federal government system was under Biden and the fake auto pen and Alejandro Mayorkas and the entire administration who covered up people coming into this country or should have been watched and weren't because they had the political resources and the knowledge to go and talk to the right person. It's disgusting to me. And that's part of the reason our country's in such a mess. Luckily, we've got Donald Trump and his team coming in and fixing these things.
Really quickly, do you think that Mohammed should be facing civil rights charges on a federal level?
Is this the beginning of this? No, I think this is a fresh comment. Yeah, I mean, look, for as bad as things are, we can at least take a breath and say, well, at least we have sane, competent, common sense policies and leadership in place compared to the backward stuff that we've been dealing with for years. It just bothers me so much to see any one of these crimes happening from people that should have never been in this country. This is not a scandal. This is straight up madness.
Face potentially capital punishment on a federal level.
Okay, I think this was the beginning of it. Yes, and he should. I think he should. All right, let's check in Poland because I talked about the Obama doctrine. You know, this is happening globally, not just in a couple of places. Raging West here says Polish President Nawrocki.
Migrantów. Tak, jest Polską bez nielegalnych migrantów.
Instead of migrant integration centers, there's deportation centers for those who want to
Jest Polską, w której zamiast ośrodków integracji są ośrodki deportacji dla tych, którzy chcą zniszczyć nasze bezpieczeństwo.
Poland is in safe hands. So he said, Polandize the rest of Europe and resist the Obama doctrine of forced colonization. It is colonization. It is forced. It is very intentional. This isn't accidental. It's not, oh, well, we're responding to this random hurricane that was completely not manipulated by any of our weather control mechanisms. Oh, you know, it's a natural occurring environment. We just have to adapt to it. People are just migrating. We'll work with them. No. You're funding them. You're steering them. You're behind this. You're creating the problem. Don't try to pretend to be the savior. It's like the person on the street that calls in the fire. Oh my gosh, there's a fire at 123 Main Street. You got to get out here. And they sit there at the corner watching as the house is caught up in flames. Meanwhile, they're the person that set the fire. It's like, come on. Come on. Stop it. Matt Walsh here. Oh, here's a good question if you agree or disagree. Matt Walsh says, oh, here, let me do it that way. Matt Walsh says, I think illegal aliens should get due process. The process is this. You capture them. You confirm that they are here illegally. You expel them from the country. That's it. That's the whole process. No other processes do these people. So, do you agree or disagree with Matt Walsh? There's your process. It's like, show me your ticket stub for the movies. Oh, you don't have a ticket stub? Get out. On the subway. Show me your ticket for riding the bus. I know I said subway. Show me the subway, the bus, whatever. Oh, no ticket. Get out. Get on an airplane. Show me your ticket. Oh, no boarding pass. Get out. So anyway, here's the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Director getting choked up responding to a question about ICE officers wearing masks. Now, look, let me say this about that. I do think there is a concern. All right, David's on board. David agrees with that. Yeah, there's your due process. Are you here legally? Nope, get out. That's it. There you go. You don't need to draw and quarter these people. You don't need to crucify them. You don't need to do anything cruel or unusual. You just escort them out. That's all. If you're in a nightclub without a wristband, you get escorted out. That's how things work. Are you here? Are you supposed to be here? All right, we're going to escort you out. We're not going to rough you up along the way. I'm not in favor of that. But yeah, you don't get to keep hanging out. Go out, buy a ticket. Walk through the front door, figure it out. Oh, that's a rated R movie and I'm only 10 years old. Well, you can't see it then. All right, what do you want me to do? It's not, well, I don't have $10 for a ticket. Hey, get $10 for a ticket and come back. I don't know. Well, they're asylum seekers. They're asylum seekers. They're dreamers. They're all sorts of things that mean you're not allowed to take them back out. That's not a real thing. Just because you put a heartstring tugging title attached to them doesn't make it real, and it doesn't make it valid. So once again, figure it out. Okay, let's go to this one. The ICE director getting choked up. Oh, the point I was starting to make here was that I do believe that there's a bit of a problem when people are getting arrested and they're plain clothes and they're not really showing them a warrant and their face masks are covered. It really does feel like a kidnapping. I'm watching some of these videos. They feel like kidnappings. These people need to have official cards on them. Hand them a document. Immigration's Custom Enforcement. Here's your liaison. Here's a direct line to their office. Here's a business card. I'm agent this, or I'm agent 12751 with Immigration's Customs Enforcement. And why don't you want to show their faces? Why are they wearing face masks? It's because you're doxing them. Like how you doxed Tesla owners and burned their vehicles up at the direction of the DNC, the Democrat leadership, the globalists that don't like Elon going through and removing how many, 20 million people from the Social Security rolls that are over 120 years old, whatever the final numbers ended up being. These are all potential people who could get green cards, voting rights, benefits meant for Americans who've been paying into a system. We haven't opted into a system every job since we were 14 years old that we get the paycheck and it just automatically takes money out and who knows where it goes. It just goes away. And yeah, you get that back as an American. It goes into the system and it comes back to you. You have illegal alien invaders jumping in, assuming identities of old people, dead people, people that are no longer, some of these a couple hundred years old. I mean, come on. So you don't like that Elon's helping us clean up this very obviously, intentionally murky bookkeeping that's been exploited by deep state Democrats for decades. So what do? You burn down his Teslas. You're doxing Tesla owners. Oh, you see Tesla, go attack a Tesla. That'll teach them to mess with us. We're in charge here. Forget about it. We're the mob. We're the company. We're the country. We're America. You come through us, see? No, we don't, see? Anyway, here's the ICE asking about the masks. I do think they need to do a little bit more to identify, I'm here on official ICE business. Call this number immediately. There's someone on the phone that will confirm Officer 137531 is operating out of this city on current active immigration enforcement business. Any potential future follow-up legal needs, you come through this office. Like, give them a point of contact. Say, call them right now. Someone will answer a human will answer the phone and assure you we're not kidnapping this person. This is all above board. This is official business. It feels kidnappy. It feels, and you know what? If people are in fear that they are being kidnapped, and look, a lot of raids are done by people posing as police officers, posing as law enforcement. You know, that's why it's illegal to have blue and red sirens, or I'm sorry, not sirens, but rotating lights on a vehicle. You can't impersonate a police officer. You can't wear the fatigues or the badges or the regalia. So I do want ICE to do a little bit more to just say, here's your hotline. Someone is standing by. They will confirm that I am who I just told you are. I will confirm that I am who I just told you that I am, I think is what I was trying to say. So that being said, let's listen to the question about why are ICE members wearing masks?
I'm going to answer the mask question. So, no, not the mask, the mask. So, a lot of agencies were invited to come out 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles where we ran an operation where ICE officers were doxxed. So let's just say that again. People are out there taking photos of the names, their faces, and posting them online with death threats to their family and themselves. So I'm sorry if people are offended by them wearing masks, but I'm not going to let my officers and agents go out there and put their lives on the line and their family on the line because people don't like what immigration enforcement is. They are wearing those masks because we ran an operation with the Secret Service where we arrested someone that was going online, taking their photos, posting their families, their kids' Instagram, their kids' Facebooks, and targeting them.
Why they wear masks?
I'm going to answer
They're doxing the kids. Democrats have become domestic terrorists. Actually, haven't they always been? All right. Yeah, that's not cool. That is definitely happening. You got to protect these agents for sure. All right, let's get into Palantir. This is something I support. Look, I think in the first couple of months I've seen a lot of positive activity in the past couple months. Overdue corrections in the past couple of months. But let's talk about this big, beautiful bill and the provision that prevents all 50 states from regulating AI for the next decade. So there are some big tech overlords that are really pushing to not regulate AI, and I understand it. If you're going to block it, you're going to fall behind, and other countries are going to be doing this stuff. You don't want to be behind. Also, how much of a danger is it? I'll tell you what, the past couple of weeks, I've been seeing AI-generated videos that are becoming close to nearly indistinguishable from real video. Maybe that was the plan all along, delay the Epstein tapes long enough so there can be plausible deniability. You're seeing videos of people jumping into lava, running around on an island of cannibals as a prank. And you're going, these are starting to look kind of way too good. Elon was telling us a couple of years ago, probably, just it's dangerous. It's scary how good this stuff is getting. Meanwhile, I have a hard time asking Grok to make me a thumbnail image for a video. I'm trying. And there's different versions of AI out there, but I mean, it is going to revolutionize. So let's talk about Palantir and what some of the concerns are. AF Post here says, meanwhile, the Trump administration contracted Palantir Technologies to create a vast federal data platform on Americans using its AI-powered Gotham software. What is this in general, except as provided in paragraph? Yeah, it's legalese, but that's what they're saying. All right. There we go. Except as provided in paragraph 2, no state or political subdivision thereof may enforce during the 10-year period beginning on the date of the enactment of this act any law or regulation of the state or a political subdivision thereof limiting, restricting, or otherwise regulating artificial intelligence models, systems, or automated decision systems entered into interstate commerce. Yeah, Gotham Software. What an odd name. What is this? Okay. The AI-powered Gotham software combines sensitive records from agencies such as the IRS, Social Security Administration, and Immigration Services. Now, look, I'm torn because I don't want to be on, what do they call it? The social credit score system of China. If you have wrong think, you won't be able to. But look, this is exactly what Obama was doing to weaponize. It's what Biden was doing through Obama to weaponize the federal government against normal people, common sense people, patriotic people, men, white people, Christians, straight people, conservatives, Republicans, libertarians, MAGA supporters. The federal government was weaponized by the deep state Democrats for years now. Oh, well, what if they use this to go against the people? That's what they've been doing. Wouldn't it be nice to reverse this somehow? Well, you don't want to give them a system that has all your information. They already have all of our information. A social security number and this and that. Now, I don't want health records being tied to this. That was always sort of the warning and the concern about nationalized healthcare. Come on, you get out of my bodies has been the clarion call, the calling card of the left for decades since Roe versus Wade. Hands off my body, my choice. Well, except when we're going to force a vaccination into you, of course. That's what they were trying to do. They were close to pulling that off. They were restricting all the truckers that were protesting up in Canada. Oh, that's a different country. All right. What was PayPal doing and shutting down accounts and not letting you fundraise if they didn't like your political ideology? You're getting kicked out of the military if you didn't take the thing. It's all scrambled eggs. The eggs have been whipped and cooked together. It's all a cluster. But you have an antiquated FAA, an aviation system. You know, there have been a couple of high-profile crashes going, what systems are we using? Why is the technology so old? Elon goes into the federal database trying to run an audit and trying to streamline and fix some of the processes that were probably intentionally vague and running into a million problems. Oh, well, if someone retires or gets fired in the federal government, you have to go down into a mine shaft of a hollowed out mountain and everything requires physical paperwork. Like, can't you speed this up somehow? You know, I understand at the same time I'm calling for paper ballots in elections because I don't trust machines that can be attached to the internet. And if I can't run a full forensic audit on the algorithm system and you claim that that's proprietary, that means I don't trust you. That's not one particular company. That's all of them. So on one hand, I'm advocating for paper. And on the other, I'm like, hey, we need to speed this up. I understand that. And we should have a nice backup plan in case we have to revert back to something like that. But, you know, taking how many people? Let me ask Grok. Maybe not a neutral source, of course. Where will I ask Grok? I'll ask Grok here. How many people did Doge remove from the Social Security database? $12.3 million Social Security number holders listed as age 120 or older from the SSA database, marking them as deceased. This cleanup effort targeted records in the Numident system, which contains all Social Security numbers ever issued, many of which lacked death information due to outdated or incomplete records. Yeah, and that's the other part. Just because there were players, just because there were people who were in the system, it doesn't mean that they were being used for fraud. It meant that they could be used for fraud. Get rid of them and reduce that to zero. That's why, mail-in voting. To show up and vote, you need to have an extremely compelling case with triple verification if you want to vote through mail. We're never doing 2020 again. Most sketchy election I've ever seen. The Numadent system contains all SS numbers ever issued. All right. Process began early 25, completed in 11 weeks. Okay. However, these 12.3 million records primarily represent individuals who were not receiving benefits, as the SSA automatically stops payments at age 115. Improper payments to deceased individuals are minimal, roughly 1% of total payments. Well, clean up that 1% for sure. Claims that these removals reflect widespread fraud has been disputed by experts who note that the issue stems from outdated data rather than active benefit fraud. Well, maybe not. Get rid of it and let's just clean it up. Well, all these illegals, they're not all committing crimes. All right, well, walk through the front door. We're going to run a full forensic background check. And if you got any sort of monstrous child abuse activity or violent criminal background, you're blocked. Get the fork out of Dodge. Thank you very much. So anyway, that's some background on the numbers that were removed there. But so I'm sort of torn on this Palantir system. Like, all this information already exists, but I'd rather have it in a place that is a little more manageable. So I'm open to the Palantir frustrations, and I'm willing to dig into the issue a little deeper. Red Pill Truth 2024 says the reason people come to the U.S. is for freedom and opportunity. The reason they don't have that in their home country is because of their culture, their values, their faith, and their government. They should not bring all that. They should not bring all that made them a failure to our shores and our homeland. Our Constitution and Republic is a blueprint that the world could follow, but they choose not to do so. If you're living in a shitty system, don't bring it here. And if you want to live in a better system, fix the place that you're living. It's that easy. Not everybody is a humanitarian crisis, a political refugee, and they have all these buzzwords to make sure everybody can scam the system and just claim that somebody threatened you, somebody's persecuting you. Come on in and bring all your terrible ideas, your terrible baggage, your terrible habits, your terrible ideologies, and mess with our country. Or you could just fix your country. You know, politics works best when it's done local. Your locale is where you're from. It ain't here. So that's fairly well said. That's a good point that I don't think people are talking about enough. Here's the ICE chief blasting blue states for operating 100% like a sanctuary city for illegals.
We talked to the governor. The governor talks about what's going on in her state. She says Massachusetts is not a sanctuary state, but Boston's a sanctuary city. Do you think that the state is operating like a sanctuary state at this point?
100%. And that's one of the frustrating things for us. And what I'd say for the governor's office is we've had individual law enforcement agencies and state agencies reach out and say, hey, we want to turn this individual over to you. They're wanted for murder in El Salvador. So or like the sex offenders you saw today, they're already known registered sex offenders on the Massachusetts probation rolls. Why would you not turn someone over that's been previously deported?
Please tell me why anybody is not doing that. There's no reason on God's green earth that I can come up with. There is no good reason, except for the deep state hates you. The deep state wants criminals roaming around your cities, making everybody on edge, terrified, as they have their little brown shirt army of thugs.
To me, that just makes no sense. And again, like the person we arrested that was living across the street from a playground. So you have a deported sex offender that the state knew about living across the street from a playground.
It's so time to sue the DNC for this. All these Democrat mayors and governors. Hey, here's a report. Have you heard this? I don't know how true this is. When you sign up for TSA pre-check, take a listen.
People who've signed up for the speedier passage through TSA have also waived a very important right. What have they signed away?
So when individuals enroll in TSA PreCheck or Global Entry, they actually sign a release granting the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI unrestricted, warrantless access to all their personal data. Health records, physical, mental, social media, communications, court history, anything they want, they have access indefinitely. And this sweeping surrender of privacy is in the fine print few people ever really read. So the people end up giving up their permanent rights, or their rights permanently, for the convenience of maybe a little bit faster time in line.
All right, let me see what Grok is saying. They're saying no. Let's read what this says as we unpack the story together. No, TSA PreCheck enrollees don't sign a release granting unrestricted, warrantless access to all their personal data. Claims suggesting that enrolling in TSA PreCheck or Global Entry allows DHS or FBI indefinite access to health records, social media, or court history is not supported by evidence. According to official sources, including privacy impact statements from the TSA and U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP. Oh, Customs Border Protection, CBP-1. Customs and Border Protection. All right. The programs collect specific biographic and biometric data like fingerprints, travel history, and identification documents for security vetting purposes. This data is used primarily for enrollment and recruitment and recurrent criminal history checks with strict retention policies in place. Data is deleted after a set period if membership is discontinued. Sharing with other agencies like the FBI is limited to specific data, such as fingerprints, and only for program-related purposes. The Privacy Act statement and consent forms for these programs do not include clauses granting unrestricted, warrantless access to all personal data, as some claims have suggested. These claims, which circulated on platforms like X in May and June of 25, often misinterpret the scope of data collection or rely on unverified assertions. TSA and CBP policies emphasize data protection, encryption, and limited use, and applicants can opt out of additional data sharing features like marketing communications. So, all right. At least that's what, or so the Germans would have us believe. Which comic used to say that? Or so the Germans would have us believe. All right. Yeah, something seemed off about that. And I don't know what Victory News is. I don't know. Coverage in the Spirit of Faith. I don't know what channel this is. And we asked, is that true? It didn't seem true. Hey, let's talk about the mysterious. Isn't it so mysterious, people? There's a mysterious drop in fentanyl seizures at the U.S.-Mexico border. Are there really? Are we mystified by this? So redheaded libertarian says Trump closes the border. Drugs stop coming in. People stop overdosing. Dealers stop having drugs to seize. Washington Post. How mysterious. So mysterious. And I put a "we voted for this" button. Thank you, President Trump. Yeah, such a mystery. Here's Speaker Mike Johnson. According to the Babylon Bee satire comedy page, Republicans unveil new plan to fix national debt sometime after the return of Christ. Yeah, the big, beautiful bill, $1 trillion in military spending. Like, why are you even trying to cut with Doge if you're going to overspend on your... It doesn't matter if you cut a few expenditures out if you're still overspending. Make it make sense, people. Make it make sense. Although, I saw Keir Starmer yesterday was calling for all sorts of, like nuclear submarines and missiles and munitions facilities across East. They're preparing for war. They're trying to escalate World War III. It seems like it's going to be inevitable, except like you're seeing Jews getting attacked in Washington, D.C. and Boulder, Colorado. If this pops off and you got sleeper cells pre-positioned all across America, the war is going to be at our home. The war is going to be in our homeland. And everybody needs to be armed and prepared for this. When the lights go out, when the internet doesn't come on, you better get frosty, stay frosty, watch your six, have a network of communications and stuff with your neighbors so that you can rely on each other for information and support. I hope we don't reach that, but it sure seems like we're headed for that. So in that case, I can understand and if not reluctantly agree that we can overspend a little bit in year one of President Trump's term to put the things in place to prepare for what's coming. I mean, the deep state, they've had really the last 16 years because Obama was working with the deep state to thwart, impeach, imprison, and explode President Trump. So the last 16 years of Obama's money laundering, they have a war chest in place that's almost impossible to fathom because they've had so much of a head start. So I am reluctantly going to support this overspending bill, but not in year two. I get that we need to get prepared. We need to have more refineries for our energy. We need to have more munitions factories. We need to have really more computer chip manufacturing, more generator, power transformer and generator facilities that can rebuild in case of an electromagnetic strike. And yeah, there's several things the U.S. needs to take care of. So I get it. I will reluctantly support this bloated budget year one, but I've got to see cuts in year two. That's my concession. You want me to go along with this? You need your golden dome, and you want to protect the homeland and build the wall finally. Oh, we don't have $5 billion for a wall. Here's hundreds of billions for Ukraine. Don't worry about it. We don't even need it paid back. What? Just the criminality and treason of the powers that be have really tried selling this country out to the highest bidder. I finally feel like we have somebody who's putting some of that back in balance, for which I'm greatly forever appreciated. David asks the question, so what are we waiting for? Arrest these people. I concur. Here is Jennings on CNN talking about these attacks, because sadly, I think there are many more sleeper cells pre-positioned. I hope you're ready.
I mean, this is horrific. And what more do we need to see, Jake, before we realize this Free Palestine movement is nothing more than a domestic terror organization right now? I mean, we had the killings in Washington a couple of weeks ago. We had this issue in Colorado. We've seen, the activities on college campuses now for months and months and months and months. The rise of anti-Semitism in America, the rise in the number of people who have come to America who hold anti-American views, anti-Western views, and anti-Semitic views and are now willing to act on it. It is absolutely outrageous. And I think as a society, we need to understand we are dealing with domestic terrorism. It's growing more violent by the day. And if we don't deal with it, these kinds of things are going to keep happening in cities all over the place. It's awful. And we need to come to grips with the fight that we're in right now in America, a fight for the future of our country and the future of Western civilization, in my opinion. Well,
yeah, agree button. This fixation on Palestine has always been a thinly veiled effort to destabilize America, to attack America, to be the brown shirts of America, to be the terrorist wing of the Democrat deep state party in America. And we're seeing it ramp up. We've watched it ramp up for months, for years. We're only 5 years removed from the Summer of Love riots. That was fueled by the Democrats. Never forget what they did. So yeah, I'm not surprised to see this. I've been calling this for a long time, and I've been told by smart people, oh, no, they oppose Zionism. Huh? What is that? No, they're just against Zionism. What is Zionism? Well, that's where Israel has a state. Okay, so they have a state. They have a couple of acres in a spot, and they can't have it. Where do they go? And why can't they have it? Well, they took it in 1948. Okay. So where do they go? What's going on? Why do they have to go, but the other guys don't have to go? Why is it okay for the Palestinians to start a war, but then they get to complain that, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they're fighting back after butchering 1,200 of us? Well, no. Hamas didn't do that. Israel did that to their own people. They did? Yeah, Bibi, Satan Yahoo. I mean, okay, show me why do you say that? Well, they would have known if there was an attack. Hang gliders, really? Right, but that's not proof. That's a slanderous, slurous. That's a slur. That's an accusation. It's a suspicion, but the Free Palestine thing has always been go get the Jews, go kill the Jews. That's what the free from the river to the sea. Yeah, they're going to sweep every Jew into the sea is what that means. From the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free. Right. Then Intifada, we're going to shake off the fleas. Get rid of these Jews. Get rid of them all. They want a Holocaust of all of those people. But when Hamas starts a war, Israel can't attack the people that did it because they're committing a genocide while they're defending themselves against the Hamas genocide attempt. I'm wrapped up in this hamster wheel of Israel, Palestine, but it's always been a very violent, very angry outlet for anti-American sentiment, deep state Democrat sentiment, divisive sentiment, and violent sentiment. The calls have been, stop trying to fight the war over there, fight it in America. It's really reminiscent of when Obama and McCain were funding ISIS, and you were seeing all of these terror attacks. Oh, so many terror attacks. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where were those all coming from? Who was funding them? Who was training them? By the way, what's that guy? Ryan Ruth or Wesley Ruth or whatever? Baby Ruth? What's the deal with that guy? Huh? Any idea? Was he Ukrainian funded? Because Trump wasn't on board with this never-ending money laundering operation through Ukraine? What about the Butler, Pennsylvania shooter? Who funded him? Who trained him? What's that deal? What's the story? Powers that be, man. I've said this so many times before, not recently, but you're being given stand down orders. You do not have the consent of the governed. You are actively a terrorist organization operating inside of America for the sole intention of ruining this country, ruining our lives. And we all see you. So stop. And if not, like David said, what are we waiting for? Arrest the people responsible. So, yeah. That's all I have to say about that.
And
here's Tom Homan discussing why the Biden administration housed illegal immigrants in hotels instead of ICE detention facilities. Just because they had to, because it was a crisis. They had to hurry up and help, right? Like, that's the best they could come up with, wasn't it? Or no?
As far as releasing so many people, you know why the Biden administration released millions of people in the United States? No one ever talks about it. I'll talk about it. Why did they release people into the interior of the United States and put them, rather than put them into an ice bed? Why not put them in an empty ice bed at $127 a night rather than in a hotel room at $500 a night? They did it on purpose. Because when you put them in ice detention bed, they get a hearing in 35 days. Court records show 9 out of 10 people claim asylum, get order removal, they're gone. But if you release them and put them in a hotel room at $500 a night, they're
$500. Oh my God, you don't hate these people enough. I was in the Bronx and they were furious at these illegals. They're like, I can't go to the bodega and get anything to eat for $50 anymore. Everything's too expensive. We're struggling. I'm struggling for rent. I'm struggling for groceries. And these people have magic visas, magic debit cards that never run out of money. They're staying in 5-star hotels. They're not even from here. Who the hell said this was okay? We didn't vote for this. We don't want this. We want them the hell out of there. And if you're going to help somebody, help us. Help the Americans. That's what the population was telling me when I was in the Bronx, reporting for Real America's Voice, reporting for the New American Media. That's what I was hearing from the people, the residents of Chicago, the residents of New York. That's what I was hearing from these populations, because that's what common sense is. $500 a night. My God.
Hearings can be 5, 7, 9.
And if they're in the facility, they get their hearing super quick. They're in or out. And these facilities should be in the side of Mexico. Don't let people try to sneak into our country. And if they do, we're holding them on your side. So stop them from even getting to this wall, or else we're going to fill up your side of the wall with piles of people, binders full of people. Ugh.
In years, you pull out all appeals, and what are they hoping for then? That another Democrat administration is in power. They can award an amnesty to millions. This is about selling this country off for future political power. That's what it was. The law clearly says if you arrive at our border without proper documentation, you shall be detained. Not maybe, not think about it, shall. And that's what President Trump's doing. Catch and release is over. That's what the law says, and that's what we've done. And as far as releasing so many people, you know why the Biden...
Oh, man. Hey, remember this classic? Number one, I want to know why this guy has such a soft voice. I don't really know many people who talk this way. Unless it's performative. But remember this gem from Elizabeth Warren talking about Biden's mental acuity. It's just a quick tab, but I saw it again, shared it again, because never forget, these people are lying to you straight to your face. Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas.
Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
I said what I believe to be true.
Lie.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
I said I had not seen decline. And I hadn't at that point.
You did not see any decline from 2024 Joe Biden to 2021 Joe Biden?
Come on.
Not when I said that. You know, the thing is,
Stop.
He was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him. Live event.
He was on his feet. Oh, he could stand?
Had meetings with him a couple of times.
Senator, on his feet is not praise. He can speak in sentences is not praise.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
I said I had not seen decline.
I mean, come on. Great interview. That stifled laugh says it all. She's so full of it. She's so full of it. I haven't had Dave Smith on the show. I invited him. I'm having a hard time reaching out. I haven't invited him recently, but I did get to meet him. He came through and saw his stand-up comedy, which was good. He did a great job at the Libertarian Convention, presidential convention in Washington, D.C. last year. That's for sure. So here's Dave Smith kind of reminding us what fake news and CNN have been up to.
One person in cable news.
Speaking of people lying to us, here we go.
News who did some real journalism, okay? Tucker Carlson he got Governor Murphy from New Jersey on his show. Yeah. And he asked him one simple question that was never asked of any of the other lockdown governors. And you know what the question was? He had just shut down, it was either a church or a synagogue, I can't remember. And he goes, oh, wait a minute, so you just shut down this temple and arrested people for worshiping. Where do you get the authority to do that? Because I've read the First Amendment, and it's pretty clear that you have the freedom of religion. And so where do you get the authority to shut that down? And you know what Governor Murphy said?
That's above my pay grade, Tucker. So I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights when we did this.
So let me, just to make this
That's a
clear,
stupid
okay?
answer.
Yeah, it sure is, but you know what? Your brother and none of the rest had a better one. They just never got asked that question. Here's the bottom line. There's no clause in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights that says, unless there's a virus that we don't know that much about and then this all goes away. The point is that it was completely criminal for all of these governments to lock down. They had no authority to derive the right to lock down a state from. And yet you, instead of anyone at CNN thinking, hey, if we have Andrew Cuomo on here every single night, maybe someone should ask him that question. They went, no, give him a cushy interview with his brother. Like, you don't find that incredibly corrupt?
No.
Yeah, if you're not finding that
One person
incredibly corrupt, you're not paying attention. Dave Smith, you should follow him. All right, here's Officer Tatum. Here's CNN. Will Democrats' calls to action really resonate with voters? Here's a hint, no.
Democrats have to stop being against Donald Trump and start being for something.
I'll defend the Democrats. They are for things. Illegal aliens. You're for boys and girls sports. I mean, you are for things. And that's why you have such struggles right now in your party, because you're not for anything that's on the right side of any of the 80-20 issues that are driving this cultural divide in America. I think Westmore's actually a pretty talented communicator. The other person who spoke in South Carolina, Tim Walz, is a special mixture of extreme buffoonery and a mean spirit, which is a toxic brew. He is not the future of the Democratic Party. More is interesting, probably more interesting than some of the radicals you have out there, Crockett, AOC. I mean, those are the true leaders of your party right now, but you'd probably be better off replacing them with
That's not true, and I'm not going to even let you.
That's not true. Yeah.
Very true.
Somebody let him cook. Let my boy Scott Jennings.
Let my boy Scott Jennings cook. He really has come on the scene and done a great job.
Cook. These people are crazier than 3 left shoes on an 8-legged man. I don't even.
What? 3 left shoes on an 8-legged man. What?
How they still on television? They are literally paying him to turn down CNN. It's brilliant.
And it is smart. I mean, you know everybody else is doing it anyway. You might as well. Hey, here's a good reminder. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Not everyone has a circle. Check on your bros. We just lost the creator of Sports Science. I didn't cover that story this week, but it was that ESPN program that debuted 20, 25 years ago or something, Sports Science. And they break down all the mathematics and angles and geometry and trigonometry and all of the stuff that makes sports happen. When you put pressure on a curveball on a seam, why does it do what it does? And sumo, like power, force, impact, and mathematical odds. They called Kyrie Irving's three-pointer in the 2016 NBA championship the most clutch shot in NBA history. They broke down, they put an algorithm together saying how crucial points are at what stage of the game, when the score is what. They did all the math and said Kyrie Irving's three-pointer that helped the Cavs clinch their title was the most clutch shot in history. I believe that was a Sports Science segment. But yeah, they say he lost his battle with depression. So it's a gentle way of saying he offed himself. And, people don't have networks. A lot of people don't have social circles. I've definitely had phases of my life where I've had more of a social circle than I do now. Some of it's replaced by communicating with you each day. I enjoy this. I like having the regulars pulling up and talking about what's going on. I just talking about what's happening in the world. I like doing that. But yeah, I mean, for decades, it's like, oh, June is here. June is a month. Hey, we got to talk about this thing for a month. How about we talk about men's mental health awareness this June? Maybe we should talk about that daily. How are your bros doing out there? I was worried about David when his cat Spiral was missing. Glad he's back. But David, I need the story. You said he was a mile away. How did you find him? Who knew? Did he just come back, or did you have an AirPod tag or something and you tracked him? Or did you ask a bunch of people to look out and you got a phone call because they found him a mile away? Or how did that play out? I don't know the story of Spiral. You said he was a mile away. Okay, well, how do you know he's a mile away? How'd you get him back? Did you go drive and pick him up? Did someone drop him off? David's saying they don't have faith in God. Yeah, look, the lack of a belief in a supreme being, a higher power, a purpose in this world, I mean, it's going to lead you to some dark places, potentially. If you don't have a purpose, what is the purpose? What is the point? And it could be easy for a lot of people to just tap out. So if you're struggling, reach out, get some help. There's a lot of places you can do so. Kevin Love on the Cavaliers, that championship team of 2016. He's battled depression, and he's gone on a bit of a campaign to focus on the mental health of athletes, of basketball players, and just humans in general. So kudos. And check on your bros. June is now Men's Mental Health Month. June shall henceforth be known as Men's Mental Health Month. Henceforth, forthwith. All right. This was something I saw that got me thinking. And I was having a conversation. Someone posted they had a cat, and it was fortunately him, and he was a mile away. And you posted everywhere letting people know, my God, wow. Are you in a rural area or like a suburb area or a city area? Wow. Yeah, my cat that got fostered out, he went very far away in San Francisco. He didn't know where he was. He was just roaming like crazy. Who knows if he could have found his way back? Luckily, somebody found him on a ring cam and started feeding him and got to trap him and bring him back. Like, poor guy. Oh, I felt terrible. I adopted this guy out, and then he's just lost in San Francisco. It's like, oh, no. That was mayhem. Mayhem was adopted and renamed Mendelssohn. Mr. Mendelssohn. Okay. From a repeat foster parent. That's Chris. She adopted. Who did she have first? Mr. Mendelssohn was first, and then Panther was second. So two of the cats that stayed in my house found forever homes with this one lady, which is pretty great. I hope they're doing great. You think someone scooped him up thinking they'd get money? Oh, geez. Yeah, who knows? Who the heck even knows? But yeah, I don't know. Maybe consider putting an air tag on his collar. If he doesn't have a collar, put a collar on. If it is a collar, put a breakaway collar. I don't know that I had a breakaway collar on. I didn't on Morris. He never came back. Still never know what happened to him. Man, that's such a bad part. If something bad happened, it'd be horrible, but like to know that it happened and have resolution. Instead, they just stopped coming by one day, and it's like, man, are you hurt somewhere? I don't like. I'm looking everywhere. I don't know. Are you? It's tough, man. Isn't it, Nimbus? Pretty tough. He's sleeping in his chair. All right. Anyway, I saw this video, and it's interesting because I was talking to somebody who left Cuba, green card in the United States, working here, and they're saying they don't have Cuba doesn't have a word for a child abuser. And there's a lot of words that they don't have, but Americans, we have words for everything. And when you think of like George Orwell's 1984, Newspeak, you think of the thought police, you think of allowable speech and words that we're allowed to use. Check this video out. This is interesting. Here, let's go here.
In English.
All right, hold on, dude. I didn't have it on mute. Try it again. Click it.
Over 11,000 English nouns dropped in usage by more than 80%. Between October 2023 and February 2024, the theory is whatever powers that be and AI, they are purposely making words disappear. It's functional vocabulary. And so some of the examples that they gave were terms connected to boundary setting, identity, and memory recall. And once a word falls below 2% of network visibility, it triggers the vanishing word protocol. Reclassify it, downrank it, replace it, not delete it, just less shown, less spoken, until one day you reach for a word like integrity and it's no longer in your mouth or your feed or in your memory.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, but what I found interesting was in the book 1984 by George Orwell, explored the concept of eliminating words through the invention of newspeak, the official language of the totalitarian regime. Orwell's big idea was by eliminating words, you eliminate concepts. No words for freedom, then freedom itself becomes a foreign, even unthinkable idea.
Oh my.
If you can't even express freedom, the idea is foreign.
My gosh, this is what I've been saying. The ability to be literate.
I'm recognizing there's random, irrelevant music in the background. I'm listening to three people talk and have a conversation. Let's see if Google wants to flag this video so people across the globe can't view it for some reason. We'll see.
And articulate yourself opens the door for anything. You could do anything or be anyone.
Yeah.
Words are everything.
Yeah.
This is so scary.
Over 11,000 English nouns dropped in usage by more than 80%. Between October.
All right. So that's kind of wild. Wonder if this is actually happening. Hey, Thomas Massey. Well, I would believe it. Think of how many times you heard the word forced into your cranium, insurrection, over the past 4 years. There was never an insurrection. But when they decided to use that as their talking point memo and say it 1 million times a day, everybody started saying it. Oligarch. Oh, now everybody's an oligarch expert. So it happens the opposite way, too, when they get their talking points memo. Certain words are eliminated. Oh, no, they're not illegal alien invaders. They're, you find nice ways to say stuff. Well, just be honest. Don't sugarcoat. Don't lie. Just tell us what's really happening. Oh, you were in Cuba last winter for a vacation. How was it? Robin, I've had this thought as well. Hello, Robin from Florida. We're talking about David's cat, Spiral, one of our regulars in the comments section over here. Spiral has been found and located. And I've wondered this too. I mean, I've rescued a lot of cats off the mean city streets of Los Angeles. And I've lost a couple cats that just didn't come by. Danny, Crystal. Ah, sweet cats. No idea what happened to them. Morris, Ray Charles, sweet cats. No idea what happened to them. And I wanted to adopt as many of them as I could inside and give them forever homes. But then it's like, I'll see Nimbus sometimes. He'll go to the back door. And I've had him outside, but I don't want him to get ticks or anything. I don't want him to get fleas or ticks. But I know he loves being in the sun and like, I don't know. I feel like maybe I should just put a patio on the house to give him a big sunroom. Man, would he love that. But yeah, now he's a kept man, and he doesn't get access to all the frolicking and the running and sunning and funning. Robin saying it's too dangerous for cats to be outside with all the evil in the world. Please keep them inside where they will be safe and cared for. I get that, and I've done that, and I'm currently doing that with 2 cats. My buddy, former roommate, just found a cat. The cat was called Mama. I think it was the mama to a couple kittens that he adopted. And then something happened with the leg, and the leg was just mangled, just dragging it behind. He finally caught the cat and took it to the vet, and the vet said they got close to, the cat was close to gnawing the leg off. They had to amputate. And now his concern is like, I can't put a 3-legged cat back outside. I guess it's mine now. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess it's yours, but and the cat's getting restless, and it's like, yeah, it's an outdoor cat. The theory of the outdoor cat is a parable for us. Do we want to live in a security state? Do we want to live in a prison planet? Well, yeah, I mean, you've seen the memes. I know a place where, you'll have your housing handled for you, and 3 meals a day will be handled for you, and yeah, you'll have a very safe existence. It's called prison. I mean, they take care of all your basic needs, but it's like, we're not designed to be prisoners. We're supposed to be explorers and have fun and go see things. And yes, go get into areas that could be potentially dangerous or dicey. Anytime you're in a downtown area, anytime you're anywhere now, you never know when you turn the corner and it could be weird. So it's like, do we want to be kept? What do they say? Like kept women? Well, she married him and now she never leaves the house and they just stay, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, so I don't know. I'm torn on the concept, because it's like, if you have kids, you don't want your kids to be mama's boys or daddy's boys, and they're afraid to ride their bike down the street, and I can't let my kid out of my sight for even a single second. It's like, I mean, come on, teach the kids to be self-aware and teach them to have some resiliency, and we have to explore. So I'm half and half on that issue. Where do you guys stand? David, Robin, do you take my point about, the innate nature, the nature of animals, whether they're human beings or feisty felines? It's in our DNA to be exploring and be out there. But yeah, I mean, it's not safe. It's not. Or do you want a bubble boy from Seinfeld? Remember they played the bubble boy? Or was it Scrabble? The Moops. Or no, it was Trivial Pursuit. The Moop. No, it meant the Moors. The Moops. David said he went to Varadero. It's nice, but it's hurting from not having American imports. Robin said, it is said, if allowed to go outside, they will try and return to their previous home. I volunteered for several cat rescues, and keeping them inside was a prerequisite for adoption. Oh, yeah. I think I had 9 foster cats at one point inside of a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 759 square foot condo with someone sleeping on the couch, someone sleeping in the office, 2 people. We helped out how we could. Whew. Yeah. Robin understands the prison concept and agree, but safety is paramount. Many people profess to hate cats. Yeah, I know. And the mean and evil things done to them can be horrific. I know. Ugh, I know. As much as it may hurt me to find out, I really hope when I pass from this experience, I'll be able to find out what happened to my cats that went missing. Did somebody intentionally harm them because they don't like cats, or intentionally harm them because they don't like me? Was it just an accident? It was like, oh no. Was it coyotes? I don't know. I just don't know. And God, the not knowing is just terrible. And I think it was a voice actor for King of the Hill. He said that they found their animal. Someone had been threatening them and then found their animal, like put their animal skull and the collar like mailed to them or given to them or left for them to tell them, we did this to your animal because we don't want you here. We don't like you. And then they shot and ended that man. That was a couple days ago too. Over in I know. And David's like, I think they should be able to go outside. And no, it's not safe. Should kids be able to go ride their bikes across the city? Well, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was safe, but it's not safe today. It's like, shit was never safe. we survived, and it made us tough, made us strong. So I don't know. I get both perspectives, but I do sometimes think that maybe my guys would be happier outside. But yeah, Mr. Bean, man, he was terrified when he was outside. He did not. He was covered in fleas and he was exhausted. He was so happy when I trapped him, brought him back in. Because he wouldn't let me pick him up. He's so skittish. But like, he's the cuddler. He sleeps on my pillow on my head. Like, I don't know. Cats are so interesting. Animals in general. Evil is always trying to work against the good people. Yeah. That's why it's maybe a good idea to pray. All right. Back to the news here. We're going to wrap up Instagram and then do a lightning round of our X feed here on the TNAM Daily Show, a division of the Agree to Disagree show here on the New American Media. Representative Thomas Massey says that 34 representatives have co-sponsored my bill to terminate the Federal Department of Education, which would save money and return control back to parents, teachers, school boards, and states. President Trump supports this policy. What are we waiting for, Speaker Johnson? What are we waiting for? Yeah, get to it. Get to work. Would you? All right. Let's buzz through our X feed. Now, what is this? I reposted this. Hang on, show more. Okay, yeah, this is a different feed. That was so weird. All right. So Roger Stone reporting here from the Gateway Pundit that the FBI and Robert Mueller's team hid Russiagate documents with special coding in FBI case management database. My lawyers will be filing an action today to find out which documents regarding me were hidden. All right, go get them. Go get these people. Treasonous actors, indeed. Here's some video Monday, happy day. Saying that Florence, Italy seems cooked. The immigration invasion, the colonization of Italy has led to unprecedented criminality and attacks throughout their city. It's an invasion. It's an invasion. What are they going to do? Are they going to defend their country and get things back into place? Or are they going to give up? Italy has, what's Italy's, Sylvia, what's her name? Merloni? Is that her name? Merloni? Leader of Italy. Sylvia Merloni? Maloney? What is her name? Sorry, Giorgia Meloni. Prime Minister since 22. First woman to hold this position. Ron Paul put out this report. Check it out. It's 30 minutes long. I don't know why it's not showing the video. Oh, okay.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning into the Liberty Report.
So just hours, Ron Paul says, Dr. Ron Paul, just hours before a massive Ukrainian operation targeting Russian strategic bombers deep inside Russia, Senator Lindsey Graham and his colleague, Senator Richard Blumenthal, were in Kyiv again, urging Ukraine to keep fighting. As President Trump has repeatedly stated that his policy is to end that war, why is a U.S. senator undermining official U.S. foreign policy? And how involved was he and other neocons in the administration in the Sunday attacks? So we're going to ask, where are the Logan Act charges against Graham and Blumenthal? They aren't the president of the United States. Oh, no, they are not. Alex Jones reporting here. This is Dom Luker's video.
Shame!
Where's the music? A mob of deranged leftists in San Diego, California, illegally run a group of ICE agents out of an area harboring invaders. This is cut and dry obstruction of justice. The Democrats are planning to stage false flags to be blamed on Department of Homeland Security very soon. So, yeah, I can't play you the audio because someone decided to put some stupid, random, pointless music behind it. But they're yelling shame.
Back up! You guys are fucking Nazis!
They're Nazis. Uh-huh. Yeah, how dare you defend your country? That's what the left thinks you are if you defend your country. No, you're a cuck if you let your country get invaded.
Get the fuck out! Get the fuck out!
Very aggressive, very angry.
Fucking cowards!
Gotta mute it because there's completely random, pointless music in the background. That's a big van. That's like a bus. Is the license plate blacked out too? All right. Clandestine reports here. There's currently a massive scandal going on at the FBI. Nefarious elements within the FBI manipulated the case management database, aka Sentinel, which allowed select agents to conceal evidence pertaining to cases by keyword. This prohibited access function essentially gave deep state agents the ability to cover up info about any case they wanted. In addition, we just got confirmation from a memo from Senator Grassley that this function was used by the Mueller special counsel during the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, meaning they were covering something up. So let's say a good FBI agent wanted to search the FBI database for information related to Epstein, for example. This prohibited access function would render a false negative and not populate the results of what it is that you were looking for. It might populate some, but not all. Files were able to be hidden from search results in the database using this function. Wow. Why is this important? Because sources close to the situation tell me that this is the very reason that there are delays in the release of full information about a wide variety of topics. Much of it is still being hidden and cannot be looked up electronically. But they're finding more information. The deep state built in many fail-safes in an attempt to prevent the incoming Trump administration from finding what they don't want to be found. Are you following all this? The charges I am demanding. This is a great place to start, wouldn't it be? Wouldn't this be a fantastic place to begin? Start the indictments here, all throughout the FBI. The they don't prevent the incoming Trump administration from finding what they didn't want to be found. Bondi, Cash, Bongino, and the rest of the Trump faithful are operating in a hostile environment while trying to clean house at the same time. There is a shadow war going on, and we only see the surface. Hey, look, to everybody out there like me screaming, where are the indictments? Well, this is a pretty good explanation of a problem that's actively messing with us. So, how do we feel about this? It's at least an answer that I can believe regarding why things are taking so long. But you got to power through it. You got to move faster. Not an excuse. Moving on, Mike Benton says the CIA's How to Start a Riot Guide. It shows the use of hiring professional criminals and agitators to get ethnic minority groups, student groups, and unions angry against a government, then trigger riots of 10,000 people with just 100 agitators. Think the Summer of Love. Think the Tesla terror attacks. This is what the deep state Democrats are all about. Vigilant Fox here says it started with a warning. Ukraine wiped out 40% of Russia's bombers in a surprise strike. And Steve Bannon says the U.S. is now on the brink of getting dragged into World War III. But the media shrugs, the public sleeps. Then Bannon went nuclear, calling for 2 brutal consequences for Senator Lindsey Graham upon returning home from Ukraine. Check out the thread. There's Tom Homan talking about why the illegals went to hotels instead of ICE detention facilities. Here's President Trump's White House video. Let's see if this gets flagged for music. Hey, Google, this is from the White House. It's their official video. We're allowed to play it to cover the information within for news timeliness purposes, providing original commentary and examining current events in our universe. It's protected under fair use. Don't flag this.
And I'm thrilled to be back in this beautiful Commonwealth at the legendary Mon Valley Works urban plan.
Oh man, I know they're gonna screw it. They're gonna mess up the music here. Okay, I'll just have to dispute the claim. This is the White House video.
Urban plants with the proud Pennsylvania patriots who are the heart and soul.
Oh my God. Proud Pennsylvania patriots who are the heart and soul of U.S. Steel. Doggone it. I am so torn because Google's so stupid. Strong steel industry is not just a matter of dignity or prosperity and pride. It's above all a matter of national security. It is. We're here today to celebrate a blockbuster agreement that will ensure this storied American company stays an American company. Stays an American company. The golden age of America has only just begun. And together we're going to make America great again. So yeah, infrastructure investments in this country, greater than ever before. With the help of patriots like you, we're going to produce our own metal, unleash our own energy, secure our own future, build our country, control our destiny. Yeah. Think about it. Just think how dependent and reliant we've become on foreign hostile nations. No more. And they're going to once again put Pennsylvania steel into the backbone of America like never before. Mon Valley Works. Good job. We need to produce the things that we need in this country. Yeah, I bailed on the music idea. Google won in that case. So Tara Bull is saying, is anyone concerned about this? Trump taps Palantir to create a master database on every citizen. DC Drano says, let me get this straight. Lindsey Graham is visiting with Zelensky the day before Ukraine launches a sophisticated drone strike deep inside Russia that destroys multiple bombers. All this happens the day before peace talks were supposed to commence in Istanbul. It looks like Lindsey Graham and NATO are corrupt warmongers trying to turn this into World War III while Trump fights for world peace. Might be time to investigate Lindsey Graham for his actions in making this war worse. A spider web operation targeting 41 strategic Russian aircraft. Okay, Clandestine also says, all right, so Ukraine just launched a massive drone terror attack on Russian air bases when tomorrow Zelensky is sending a delegation to Istanbul for supposed ceasefire talks. The Trump admin confirmed they were not informed of this attack. Because look, Ukraine is a proxy of the United States. We've been funding this. It is our war. No, it's theirs. They're fighting for sovereignty. You don't, come on. It's a puppet regime. Same how we were fighting in Syria against Russia in a proxy war. Remember that? Zelensky continues to sabotage any attempts at resolving this situation diplomatically. He continues to provoke Putin and allegedly tried to take Putin's life via drone attack on his helicopter. Maybe now Trump will understand why it is Putin Maybe now Trump will understand why it is that Putin has been striking the hell out of Ukraine, because Zelensky continues to play games in the hopes of dragging NATO into the conflict directly to fight Russia for them. We all see it. The odds of a peace deal happening just went down dramatically, and I'm not sure how much longer Putin is going to tolerate this. Zelensky has never had any intentions of ending this war peacefully, because when it ends, he's a dead man and he knows it. Now, all eyes move to Trump to see how he responds to this attack. Hopefully, this event will be the straw that breaks the camel's back and gives Trump the optics to go scorched earth on Zelensky and fully cut him off and justify backing the United States out of NATO. He continues, for all the geniuses in the comments, I'm very much aware that NATO are behind these attacks. I've said for years that anything Ukraine does is an extension of the CIA and NATO. I didn't think I need to explain this caveat every single time I mention Ukraine. Top general, according to Alex. Here, let me just play the beginning of this report about the attacks and where we are. Here's some maps. Alenia Air Base, Ivanovo Air Base, Dagilev Air Base, Belaya Air Base. And so the story was that they took a truck. They paid Russians to deliver payloads, to take semi-trucks deep into Russia, and then the semi-trucks opened up and all the drones came out because you couldn't fly them 3,454 miles from Kyiv. But if you have a truck and you're paying someone to go all the way in there, then yeah. Delivery here. Here's a delivery. Here is your Trojan horse.
This is a really seriously dangerous time.
Who are we listening to? Is this, Michael Flynn? General Michael Flynn. Here we go. Seriously dangerous time.
The what happened is something that if this in fact had been going on for planning for 18 months, which, I wonder about that. I know we've heard that. If it's been going on for that long and the United States intelligence community didn't know, then we need to raise the USIC to the ground. If they did know and they did not inform President Donald J. Trump, that's cause for raising it to the ground. And I use that a bit metaphorically, but I am serious about what our U.S. intelligence community is actually doing. Now, if this has been something in the works and it was going on during the Biden administration and they didn't, the deep state operatives that are inside of the CIA and inside of other parts of the intelligence community, if they failed to warn the White House, if they failed to warn Tulsi Gabbard, if they failed to warn Marco Rubio, there's a problem there. If they did warn them and we allowed this, that's a problem. That's a problem for me. Trump needs to be very, very shrewd, which he is, but he needs to be very precise and calculated about the response from the United States of America. Because one of the things that people forget is the rest of the world doesn't look, they see the ebb and flow of political leaders in our country, Biden, Bush, Obama, Trump now. They look at the United States of America as a place that guarantees certain things. And when we violate those guarantees, when we violate those agreements, then they don't see Trump or Biden or Bush or Obama or Clinton. They see the United States of America. So President Trump needs to be very calculated in his response and his actions. And there's going to have to be actions. And so one of those scenarios, Alex, is exactly what you just described. It may be to get on the horn with members of NATO and say, hey, look, we are done. We are going to be done with the funding. And this also includes the United Nations, too, because the United Nations has a role here as well. So we are done maybe with our efforts inside of NATO. That's a big statement, but that's a scenario that President Trump has to consider. Doesn't mean that he needs to make that statement. Yeah, there's other scenarios that the president has to consider.
There's a lot of intel here, a lot of information to unpack. Yeah, Trump's out of the loop here. Lindsey Graham's calling the shots. Like, what are we even talking about? This isn't the U.S. plan. Who's doing it? How involved in the attempted assassination of Putin in the airline? Hang on. Wait, which way does my hat need to go? I tried to take out his helicopter. So I feel like my hat's crooked. Which way? Maybe it needs to be bent. Oh, that's what it needs. That was it. Okay. Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard being in the dark, Rubio being in the dark. This was planned for 2 years. Trump administration didn't know anything about it. Like, there's a lot. This is raising a lot of questions. And then, of course, the reaction and the response. Well, geez, what do you do now? They want to initiate a response, a pushback, an escalation. So what do you do with that? You don't want to buy into the plan and become a dupe.
And obviously, the first one is our own nuclear triad and the readiness levels that it is at, whether or not it's capable or not. I mean, I don't sense that there has been any testing or exercising of our own nuclear triad during these first few months of the Trump administration. So there needs to be that. And he needs to if he's going to do that, and he should do that, he should let Putin know. He should let the world know that the United States of America has to look at its own readiness here to defend this country, period. So that's one of the other scenarios. Another scenario is engaging NATO and saying, okay, if we're going to go to war, let's go to war. I'm anti that, because that would be a stupid war that we would get involved in. Another is, as you and I just talked about before, is this basically threatening NATO and just telling NATO, hey, look, if we find out that you guys were part of this and you didn't inform us, we are going to step out. We're going to basically re-examine everything that has to do with NATO, and we're going to walk away from it, because we have much, much bigger problems that we have to deal with right here at home, and never mind China breathing down our neck, because the one nation that benefits the most from all of this stuff, all this talk about Ukraine and Russia and the engagements that just happened, is China. So I can tell you in 20.
All right, look, I could listen to this forever. It's a 54-minute video. I'm just going to top it off there. You know, they're calling for a criminal investigation into U.S. intelligence agencies not informing President Trump of the attempted assassination of Putin, the massive escalation in the last month of NATO-backed drone attacks inside Russia that have brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. So I recommend you watch that video. Okay, I guess I got to scroll again. Yeah, check that out. That's going to be a pretty important report. Zuby is reporting that over 1,000 people each month are arrested in the UK over social media posts. That can't be true, can it? With the exception of the USA, freedom of speech doesn't really exist. The rules, boundaries, and transparency just differ from country to country. That is terrifying. And you got to be careful when you travel. We covered the shocking claim that East Palestine has a cancer cluster cover-up, as well as a new report blaming Biden and Buttigieg. That was yesterday's show. Take a look. Carter Hughes reporting 5 members of the Democrat Party in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania have been criminally charged in the counts of voter fraud at the state and federal levels regarding mail-in ballots. Let me see if I can ask Grok about this. See if I can get some additional clarification on Grok. Oh, yeah, absolutely insane if it's true. Does he know he's going down for treason? I mean, look, these people know what they're up to. All right, the DNC in Connecticut faced significant scrutiny over mail-in issues from 2023 mayoral primary election. Allegations of absentee ballot fraud led to a judge overturning the initial primary results, prompting a new election. In February 25, 5 individuals charged with election-related crimes. Prior incidents in 2019 in the mayoral primary. Bridgeport has a history of election irregularities, including these absentee ballot scandals, fueling more skepticism over mail-in voting. Yes, no mail-in voting. All right. That does appear to be accurate. All right. What was Maxine Waters found guilty of? Let's ask Grok. Because I saw that story. Maxine Waters found guilty of what by who? Has not been found guilty of any criminal charges. However, two notable instances facing, all right, 2010 and 2020. All right. That does not seem to be legit. Let's undo the repost. Jason Bassler says what MAGA thinks Palantir's database is for. MAGA thinks Palantir's database is for voter fraud, public health, tax compliance, national security, immigration enforcement, and interagency data sharing. Here's what it will actually be used for. Profiling, AI surveillance, financial tracking, predictive policing, social credit scores, social media monitoring, and algorithmic discrimination. Well, that's concerning. Check this video out here. A Pennsylvania man hired two Amish teenage boys to build him a brand new deck, and he's left in total disbelief. Wouldn't you be left in disbelief at this? Check this out. These friggin' Amish. Everywhere the Amish go, you know what happens.
These young gentlemen said by the end of the day, they will have the whole deck up, right? You said the whole deck? I can't wait. No way. Yo, they're gone. The whole thing is finished. Railings are up, everything. Done. Holy
You know what they say, if you want something done right, hire an Amish. Although, I mean, how do you contact them? Through their app? Through their website? Knock on their door? I don't know. Yeah, my home that my family built when I was in high school, it was partially built by Amish. The story was an Amish boy fell into the basement and broke his arm, I believe. That was pretty wild. But yeah, the Amish have been so helpful in the rebuilding of America. All right. Here's a conversation on Rogan about the Democrats and their lack of awareness.
I don't think the Democrats understand that it's over and that there was a vast infrastructure that made their feeble arguments viable, and that infrastructure is now collapsing. People are far more aware, and their lives aren't going to function anymore.
Well, it makes sense now that we're seeing these numbers because, okay, this was what was funding the infrastructure. Now we get it. Because it wasn't, otherwise, it's organic. This is the will of the people. This is how people are moving. It's not. It wasn't that at all. This was all organic, and it was really about control and money. It had nothing to do with helping people, making people better, giving aid to foreign countries. That's all a cloak and dagger bullshit show.
I don't.
Money laundering. That's why they hate Elon, because he was effective. Oliver Anthony has a new song called Lord Take Me Home.
Lord, they'd have me strung up in the psych ward.
So check it out. I'd like to play it, but I don't want to get flagged. The CIA has expanded its official presence on X. Elon posts the cloak and dagger guy and some eyes looking. Whatever that means. Jason Wild. Oh, okay. This is one about the Tic Tac shaped. Well, it's a long read if you want to read up on some of these UAPs and Tic Tacs and objects with precognitive behavior and radar and FLIR cameras and SCU modeling. Anyway, go down the rabbit hole if you like. All right, here's Bannon. I showed you where Vigilant Fox put the thread together, but here's Bannon in his own words about something being very wrong about what's going on with Ukraine.
I think the National Security Council's got to step in here.
I don't know why Ratcliffe's saying we're not getting rid of any CIA guys. Something's very, very, very wrong here. Either, number one, if the White House didn't have a heads up, that to me should be, you should condemn this attack today. You should say we're pulling all support today. And you should tell Lindsey Graham, get on a plane here, dude, and get back and stop stirring the pot. Okay? And you should put a notice to the guys in the Senate. We're already $1 trillion. The big, beautiful bill, you know, and you're talking a lot of smack over the Senate. We're going to cut, we're going to cut, we're going to cut. Do not add any money, because this is what Lindsey Graham's saying. The House and the Senate are going to add big dollars for Ukraine. Not happening. We should, if we did not know about it, and let's take that as his face. If they didn't give us a heads up on it, that's dragging us in it. They did a strike 3,000 miles into Russia. As we said last week when Mert said, oh, we got, you know, the ability to hit deep, we got sign of America supports that. There was no verification of that. I don't believe. I never saw any official verification of that.
Who's really running the military? Who's really running this war? Very concerning developments. Juanita Broderick is reporting this. Was this Getty Images? Watchdogs reviewing Biden's auto pen scandal. We know that. Suggestions of criminal evidence impersonating the president. We shall see. Here's Face the Nation on CBS. Scott Bessent. Watch Margaret Brennan's face when she thinks she gotcha'd Scott Bessent. Watch this.
Listen to earnings calls just like we do. You know what Walmart's saying, what Best Buy's saying.
She's such an over actress. I've called her out before. She's a very hacky actress.
Listen to earnings calls just like we do. You know what Walmart's saying, what Best Buy's saying, and what Target are saying.
But Margaret, I also know what Home Depot and Amazon are saying. I know what the South China Morning Post wrote within the past 24 hours, that 65% of the tariffs will likely be eaten by the Chinese producer.
Listen to earnings.
Eaten by the Chinese producer. There you go. Yeah, the tariffs haven't really bit all that hard, but, you know, you're playing a short game, middle game, and a long game. Tariffs are a long game with short-term freak out and mid-term balancing. But we've got to start producing the stuff we need in this country, hands down. Not even a conversation anymore. Okay, this was Scott Bessent defending the Democrats. They are for boys and girls sports. They're for plenty of things. They're for illegal aliens. Yeah, that's what the Democrats are for. They're not just against Trump. They're on the wrong side of every 80-20 issue and the cultural divide in America. Kash Patel urges people to sound the alarm on, well, he's sounding the alarm on the Federal Reserve. Realize the Fed is not a public institution. It's a private entity run by the elite robber barons who built this. They're rigging the currency game for their own game.
Federal Reserve. So I think we got to educate people that the Federal Reserve is not a public government entity. It's a private entity owned by the robber barons that started this country, who manipulate the currency to their advantage. And that needs to be tackled. Again, I'm not the economic guru. I just know it's a problem. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the solution is, but it needs to be addressed. So I think we got to.
No, I agree. Was this true? MSNBC was lying about the Boulder attacker? Calling him a white male, but he's a Muslim immigrant?
As far as the investigation itself, we're still trying to verify and confirm some video, but it appears to show a significant portion of the incident as it happened. There's an individual that's taken into custody. He's a white male. Whether or not that's the person that police ultimately arrested and will ultimately charge in this crime, a bit of a question at this time, but that's just what we've seen so far.
And you know, there's almost nothing MSNBC and CNN love more than scapegoating a white male. You see that over and over. We've watched this for decades. We've covered this for 14 years. Oh my gosh. You'll ignore 100 stories if the demographics don't make sense. But if you can blame a white guy and then try to use it in some campaign to take away our Second Amendment abilities to defend our families, that was the other point about this story. It's like, where was somebody with a firearm to stop this madman from attacking more people? Why weren't people armed? It's your first line of defense. It's, what do they say? When seconds count, police are only minutes away. Guns save lives and police clean crime scenes. So a lot of lessons to take away from there, but that was just interesting to me. Riley Gaines reporting here, to all the people that insisted Imani Khalif was a woman because his passport said so, you were wrong, we were right. Now, what is this article from? Sex test results published online debunking IOC's stance on controversial Olympic champion. So let me do a search on this. We asked Riley Gaines to join us on an episode of the Agree to Disagree show. Imani, Khelif. Recent news. May 30th of 2025, World Boxing, the sport's governing body, introduced mandatory genetic sex testing for all boxers in its competition, specifically naming Khalif. She is barred from participating in women's sports, or he is barred from participating in women's events, including the Eindhoven Box Cup, until undergoing this testing. This policy aims to ensure safety and fairness in women's sports, but has drawn criticism for singling out Khalif. World Boxing president apologized for naming her in the announcement, or him in the announcement, emphasizing that the policy is not meant to prejudge test outcomes. Leaked medical report June 1st from the 23 World Championships to the Times of India and Yahoo claims Khalif has a male XY karyotype, reigniting debate about eligibility in women's boxing. This contradicts the IOC stance in the 24 Olympics, where Mark Adams, the spokesman, called prior international boxing tests ad hoc and not legitimate. The IOC and Khalif maintain this person is a woman, raised as such, competing as such. The report's legitimacy is debated, with some sources like the IOC previously attributing similar claims to a Russian fake news campaign. This person says that they are a woman, not transgender, and will not be deterred. Aims to defend Olympic title. Well, what's the test say? Results that could be challenged. Okay. Well, look, it's a story I'm going to keep following. It's sadly happening in too many places where men are competing against women. What are they going to do with the Federal Reserve, asks David. Oh, yeah. Wouldn't it be great to get some answer on that? I'm still waiting for when we're going to get the audit of Fort Knox. Remember that was a story for a minute? Oh, check this out. Senator Scott Wiener, local news station, invites California State Senator Scott Wiener on a tour of the flopped-out junkies littering the sidewalks of San Francisco. Oh, I've been up there in the Mission District.
The Mission District being particularly hit hard.
Would you like to see with us? What would you like to go with us to see what's going on there?
I'm here regularly, so I'm aware of what's going on, and it's bad.
We didn't hesitate to go on our own. In less than 5 minutes, we saw paramedics from the fire department respond to 3 wellness calls for people passed out on the street. People in this neighborhood told us they are now frequently calling 911.
I was just they might be dead. Thank you.
It's like a third world country. It's very bad right now. It looks terrible. I don't know why the
the authority doesn't do anything.
Police.
The police, right.
The mission.
If this is what's going on your street, these people need to be taken to facilities, mental health facilities, drug detox facilities. You don't have the right to just spew your trash, spew your life, pass out in the streets. Like, you know, there's a humane way. Look, it's happened to all of us. Maybe we've fallen asleep at a table at Denny's. Maybe we've had a few too many beverages and taken a nap or whatever. Okay, these people are using hardcore drugs, consistently laying around comatose, nearly comatose. It's a health and safety issue. You got to change the laws. And you got to get these people up off the streets and power wash these areas and clean them up. You just have to care. Yeah, we're wondering if this is true. Nurses being taught to slyly give newborns multiple V's if they think that the parents are anti-V. It's in a textbook, allegedly. We're looking for clarification on that. We're saying that can't be real, but it could. And then I did show you this crazy lady arrested for destroying a Tesla yesterday. And that is what I had on tap to share with you today on the TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media. Thank you all for joining. Follow us in all the places. The New American Media is on Instagram, Facebook, True Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, D Live, and YouTube at the New American Media. Hit like, hit subscribe. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. On X at American_media_. Subscribe to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, on Spotify and Apple. Then, of course, our tip jar on Patreon at the New American Media. Venmo and Cash App at Brian Engelman, and Fuzz Installment at PayPal. All right, well, I'll be back tomorrow unpacking the weirdness in the world. Thank you all for joining me again today. It's one of my favorite parts of the day when I get to connect with you and go over this stuff. So thanks a lot. We will talk to you again soon. I'm going to sign out. You guys go out and have a wonderful day. The weather's supposed to be great where I'm at. Hopefully it is for you as well. Get some of that vitamin D. All right. Signing out. I appreciate you. I love you. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace out.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.